A recent scientific breakthrough has made the whole world hold its breath. For the first time in human history, scientists have brought back to life an animal that was believed to be lost forever to Earth's ecosystem. The experiment, carried out at the intersection of genetic engineering, paleontology, and cryobiology, opens up breathtaking possibilities for humanity. What once seemed like the plot of science fiction novels is now becoming an exciting reality. This is not just a single lucky attempt, but a real revolution in biology that can change our understanding of extinction and give a chance to return thousands of species lost over millions of years of evolution back to nature. For the first time, humanity has gained a tool that allows us to correct mistakes of the past and restore the lost biodiversity of our planet. At the beginning of 2025, the biotechnology company Colossal Biosciences announced a historic breakthrough: the birth of the first dire wolves, Enochiandirus, in the modern world, a species that completely disappeared from the face of the Earth about 12,000 years ago. 3 healthy puppies named Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi became the first representatives of their species since the late Pleistocene. They live in a special protected ecological reserve in the northern part of the United States, where a team of specialists monitors their condition and development around the clock. Many people know dire wolves thanks to the popular TV series Game of Thrones, where they were loyal companions of House Stark. However, not everyone realizes that these majestic creatures really lived on Earth thousands of years ago. The dire wolf was not just another predator. In prehistoric North America, these large, powerful animals were true ecosystem engineers who controlled the number of herbivores and shaped entire landscapes through cascading ecological effects. This species was an important link in the food chain and a key element in maintaining natural balance. But how did scientists manage to achieve the impossible? The resurrection of the dire wolf became the result of many years of work by an interdisciplinary team of specialists. The first stage was the extraction of DNA fragments from fossil remains. A tooth about 13,000 years old and a skull estimated to be an incredible 72,000 years old. Then the company's specialists created a reference genome of the dire wolf, reconstructing the complete genetic picture of the extinct species. Comparing it with the DNA of the modern gray wolf showed that these species are 99.5% genetically similar, which made the task much easier. However, the main difficulty was finding exactly that 0.5% difference that determines the unique characteristics of the dire wolf. Using advanced CRISPR technology and multiplex gene editing methods, scientists simultaneously made about 20 changes to the genome of the gray wolf, turning it into the genome of the dire wolf. This is a record number of gene modifications ever made in a vertebrate animal. After obtaining the modified cells, the next step was cloning. The nuclei of these cells were transferred into the egg cells of surrogate dogs, creating embryos with the genetic material of the dire wolf. As a result of implanting the embryos, the first dire wolves in 12,000 years were born. It is important to understand that the current white dire wolf puppies are only the first step in the ambitious project of reviving the species. Scientists at Colossal openly say that reaching full genetic and physical identity with the original dire wolves of the Ice Age will require several more stages of selective breeding and genetic editing. As technology develops and new data from fossil samples becomes available, the team plans to make additional adjustments to the following generations. The current generation of dire wolves includes about 20 key genetic changes, but experts believe that up to 50 or 60 modifications may be needed to fully recreate the original species. With every new generation, the dire wolves will come closer to their Pleistocene ancestors. Their anatomical features, physiology, and behavioral traits will become more accurate and refined. This step-by-step approach allows scientists to carefully monitor the influence of each genetic change and avoid unexpected consequences, making the whole process more controlled and scientifically grounded. The large ecological reserve, covering more than 2,000 acres, where the resurrected predators now live, is equipped with the latest technology. The territory is surrounded by a 10-foot-high fence, fitted with surveillance systems and patrolled by drones to ensure the safety of both the animals and the staff. The reserve is certified by the American Humane Society, confirming that it meets the highest standards of animal welfare. Natural dens have been created here, and conditions have been set up for the animals to show their natural instincts. There is also a special area with a veterinary clinic for monitoring and care. As they grow, the puppies go through all the natural stages of wolf development. In the first few weeks of life, they made uncertain steps and slept a lot. By the time they were about 1 month old, they started growling, chewing hard objects, and exploring the area beyond their den. At 3 months old, they entered the socialization phase. They were gradually weaned from milk, and their joint play was encouraged to help them develop pack instincts. By the age of 5 months, the puppies had grown significantly and began to build hierarchy within their group, engaging in playful fights that help establish the rules of the pack. The team at Colossal Biosciences says that the result has exceeded all their expectations. The resurrected dire wolves are not only healthy, they show natural behavior and are developing fully in line with the predicted characteristics of their species. It is expected that adult individuals will be significantly larger and stronger than modern gray wolves, about 132 to 154 pounds compared to 77 to 99 pounds for an ordinary wolf. The long-term plans for the reintroduction of dire wolves are impressive in their thoughtfulness and ecological justification. Colossal has developed a step-by-step strategy for returning these animals to natural ecosystems, designed to unfold over several decades. At the initial stage, the wolves are kept in a protected reserve under the close supervision of specialists. This allows scientists to study their behavior, health, and ability to adapt. The second stage will be the creation of several semi-natural habitats of a larger size, where the wolves will be able to form packs, learn to hunt, and interact with some species of potential prey. These ecological islands will allow scientists to assess the impact of the predators on local ecosystems under controlled conditions. The company is already negotiating with landowners and government agencies about allocating suitable territories in several states. The third stage, planned for the 2030s, will involve the first experimental releases into carefully selected wild habitats, where the dire wolves will be able to occupy an ecological niche similar to the one they held thousands of years ago. Special attention is being given to regions where modern ecosystems suffer from overpopulation of herbivores due to the lack of large predators. In such places, the resurrected dire wolves can perform an important regulatory function. Colossal experts emphasize that every release will be preceded by a thorough ecological analysis and modeling, and the process itself will take place under strict scientific control. The company is actively working with local communities, environmental organizations, and representatives of indigenous peoples to take into account all social, cultural, and ecological aspects of the reintroduction. Special attention is being given to the interaction of dire wolves with modern predators, such as gray wolves and cougars. Analysis shows that, thanks to differences in size, hunting strategies, and prey preferences, these species can coexist with minimal competition, just as they did in the past. Moreover, the return of the dire wolf may help restore the natural balance in ecosystems where human activity has disrupted the natural regulation processes. The resurrection of the dire wolf is only the beginning of Colossal Biosciences' ambitious de-extinction program. The company is also working on bringing back the woolly mammoth, the Tasmanian tiger, thylacine, and the flightless dodo bird. For the Mammoth project, Colossal has already created woolly mice, genetically modified rodents with some mammoth-like traits, including thick golden fur and adaptations for surviving in cold climates. This became an important intermediate step before editing the cells of an elephant. The company plans to produce the first mammoth calves by 2028. The project to revive the Tasmanian tiger is being carried out in partnership with the University of Melbourne. This carnivorous marsupial, native to Australia, went extinct quite recently, in 1936. Thanks to well-preserved specimens, scientists have managed to sequence almost the complete genome of the thylacine. The project uses the unique advantages of marsupial reproduction. The newborn baby is very small and can be raised in an artificial environment that imitates a pouch. Along with the projects aimed at bringing back extinct species, the company is applying the developed technologies to save animals that are on the verge of extinction. A clear example is the red wolf, one of the rarest predators in North America. In the wild, fewer than 20 individuals remain, and the entire captive population comes from a very limited number of founders. Colossal has cloned several red wolves from frozen samples that are genetically different from the current individuals, thus increasing the genetic diversity of the species and improving its chances of survival. George Church, co-founder of Colossal and professor of genetics at Harvard Medical School, compares the de-extinction program to the moon program of biology. According to him, even if not all attempts are successful, the technologies developed during the process will be useful for preserving biodiversity, medicine, and other fields. The dire wolf is an early example that includes the highest number of precise genome edits in a healthy vertebrate ever achieved, the scientist notes. Ben Lamb, the second co-founder and CEO of Colossal, emphasizes the global ecological context. We are not only in a climate crisis, but also in a biodiversity crisis. According to some estimates, by 2050, half of all species living today could disappear forever. Our goal is to make extinction a thing of the past. However, the project has also faced criticism from some scientists. Skeptics point out that the creatures created are not real dire wolves, but only genetically modified gray wolves with some traits of their extinct ancestors. They may have produced slightly genetically modified wolves, and that is probably the best that can be done. Does that make them dire wolves? No. These are just slightly changed gray wolves, said one specialist in ancient fauna, expressing his doubt. Another problem is genetic diversity. To create a stable population, hundreds or even thousands of individuals with sufficient genetic variation are needed. Otherwise, inbreeding will quickly lead to degeneration. Colossal responds that it is aware of this risk and is already working on a solution. In the case of the dire wolf, cells from several different donors were originally edited to ensure genetic diversity, and the company plans to continue creating new animals with different genetic profiles. Despite the criticism, most scientists and the general public welcome the news about the resurrection of the dire wolf with great enthusiasm. Some even compare this breakthrough to the first steps in space exploration. Once, human spaceflight seemed like science fiction, but today it is reality. The same is true for de-extinction. Yesterday, science fiction. Today, a revolutionary project, and tomorrow, a common practice in biodiversity conservation. The project received special support from the indigenous peoples of North America, for whom the dire wolf had cultural significance. The return of the dire wolf is not just a biological experiment. Its birth symbolizes an awakening, the return of an ancient spirit to our world, said Mark Fox, leader of the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation. The uniqueness of the dire wolf revival project lies not only in the fact that an extinct animal has returned, but also in the entire set of new technologies created in the process. These technologies, from methods of extracting and analyzing ancient DNA to multiplex genome editing and improved cloning techniques, will find applications in many areas of science and human activity. In addition, the de-extinction project raises important philosophical and ethical questions about the role of humans in the biosphere. In the past, species extinction was considered an irreversible process, but now people have the ability to interfere with this process and bring back what was lost. At Colossal Biosciences, they see this as humanity's moral duty. We are part of the evolutionary flow of the planet. We are relatives of every other species. And since we have the power to shape the world, I think we should have the responsibility to correct our mistakes of the past. To implement its ambitious plans, Colossal has attracted impressive funding. The total amount of investment has reached $435 million, and the company's valuation has exceeded $10 billion. Among the investors are large venture capital funds and well-known individuals, from Hollywood stars to technology entrepreneurs. This confirms the high level of interest and belief in the potential of de-extinction technologies. In 2024, the company also created the Colossal Foundation with a capital of $50 million, aimed at financing conservation projects, educational programs, and working with local communities. This shows the company's serious intention to contribute to the preservation of biodiversity, not only through advanced technologies, but also through supporting traditional methods of nature conservation. The project to bring back the dire wolf is only the first step on the long road to restoring the lost biodiversity of Earth. Ahead lies the return of other species, the improvement of technologies, and the creation of conditions for the reintroduction of resurrected animals into their natural environment. Perhaps in the future, humanity will be able to restore entire ecosystems that were lost due to past extinctions and return the planet to its natural richness. As for dinosaurs, science does not stand still. Technologies are developing so rapidly that soon we may be able to look not only thousands, but millions of years into the past. It seems that the dream of seeing living Tyrannosaurus and Velociraptors is just a matter of a few decades of technological progress. The resurrection of the dire wolf is a symbol of a new era when science gives humanity the opportunity not only to destroy, but also to restore nature. This is a chance to correct the mistakes of the past and create a more harmonious future, where people use their knowledge and technology to support the biological diversity of the planet. As one of the scientists at Colossal said, the idea of being at the forefront of creating a tool that becomes the solution to our biodiversity crisis, that is the most motivating thought I've ever had.